Alright, so just wanted to check the audio connection. Guys, can you please check the audio connection and video is clear? Guys, is that audio and video is clear? Guys, can you please check the audio connection? Can you please respond? At least you just type something or do something, right? So I could able to understand whether you are able to uh, hear and see the video or not. That is what I'm just looking at. Okay, so yeah, hope just wanted to check once again. If you have any problems, just let me know. Okay, so then yeah, it's okay. Well, I'm gonna get started with the session now. Okay, so yeah, so when we are just right, so we'll just get started with the yesterday session. We'll just continue from that. Okay, so as we are talking about yesterday, some data types and all, correct? Yeah, let's say at this point we have just stopped. Okay, let's we are just moving ahead to complete this stuff. Okay, first of all, let's say even you just store a number which is of 4 digits or a 5 digits, or even you store a 20 digits, or even you trying to store a 30 digit number also. In this Python programming, we don't have the other data types. Okay, we have a standard data types for Python is we have something like int, a float, a string, and boolean. We have only these 4 standard data types in Python. Okay, anything a number format will be comes under integer. Any number format will be comes under integer. You trying to say you just take a 5 digit number or a 10 digit number or 30 digit number, doesn't matter. So everything will be just considered as the integer only. So when you just take a float is something which a decimal point. Okay, so even you take a decimal point of 4 digits, or you might take something lengthy number, but in this Python programming, we don't have a double. Rather, we used to represent everything with a float. Now, just before that, we used to discuss about the string, right? A string means even a single character, even a group of characters in Python will be represented as a string. Will be representing as a string. And then the last one is a boolean. Okay, so this boolean, some programming will be represented in different ways. Okay, but especially for Python programming, this will be represented in 2 different keywords. Okay, that is true and false. We used to represent that in terms of these 2. Okay, yeah, that is what we have done for the last session. I hope you have gone through them. Okay, now just trying to create a new Jupyter notebook file, and just giving a today's date for this Jupyter notebook. Okay, so in this session we were about to discuss something like this one. We'll try to discuss something called data type conversions. It means We already know the data types in the earlier session, like we have int, float, string, and boolean. Now in this case, we wanted to represent, or what does mean by a data type conversion first. Okay, convert the data from one data type to another data type. That is called a data type conversions. Okay, data type conversion in the other languages will be a little difficult to do it, or I can say it's a pretty complex part. I can say it's a little complex part of it. But in Python, data type conversion can have in couple of ways. One is int, a method. This is all the functions of Python programming. Okay, right? We can just have these four methods over here. Let's say int, a float, string, and a boolean. These four are different data types, or data type conversion functions are available in Python, right? And what each function do is it will converts this particular function will converts the given input to integer format. Similarly, and the second one is this will convert the given input to a float format. Okay, and the next one is string. Okay, what it does, this converts the given input to the string type or string format. Okay, and then a boolean, this could be converts right, it will convert to the boolean format. So let us make a simple examples to work on this stuff. Okay, just a second. Okay, so let us yeah, so give me 1 minute. Trying. Okay, sorry. I'm just getting continuation calls regarding that. No problem. Okay. Yeah. So we will just go to the implementation of all these functions one after the other one using some input format. Okay. Now let's say, first of all, I wanted to write a string, right? Let's say string is enclosed with a numbers, right? As you already know that if something is enclosed with the single quotes or a double quotes in Python, will be represented as a string. Even you can see that, right? You can just print yes, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, but as it is looking like a number, but it is not a number, you're trying to print the type of it, which will be representing type of a string. Okay. See that it is representing, even though it is integer, even though it is a number format, but as you look at here, it is enclosed within a single quotes, or it might be a double quotes, doesn't matter. In both the cases, as it is representing a type of a string only, right? I'm just representing a type str. Okay. Now I cannot do, let's say, for example, I wanted to multiply this 1, 2, 3, 4 with some other. Okay, let's do this. Let's do a simple task here, right? I wanted to add s is equals to s plus 100, and I wanted to print s. Is it possible or not? That's what the question is. What we are trying to do is we will have a number, but it's a number is enclosed with a within a single quotes. We were adding some value 100 to it. When we are adding a value 100 to it, let's see what will happen. Let's see what will happen. Right. See that actually it is expecting some concatenation, but it is not able to add it. Right. Am I correct? It is not trying to add two numbers. This particular statement is have an error now. What is that? As this plus symbol is expecting some concatenation, some part, right? See that concatenation, right? But it is not trying to able to add the number 100 to that. So what we have to do is, let me just take a same thing into our next set. Okay. Now I wanted to add this. Before, what I'm adding is, let's convert integer variable, or let's say I underscore value, integer value is equals to, I can convert, I wanted to convert this 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of integer of s. Now let me print I underscore value. You cannot see any differences here, right? You don't find any differences. You don't find any differences. 1, 2, 3, 4 will be the output here also. When you say 1, 2, 3, 4 as the output for this, previously I could not able to add some 100 to this, correct? Let's say 100 to this. I'm trying to print it, the value of I. This right now, previously there was an error when I'm trying to do the same statement with the help of s. But as I'm trying to do this statement, right, second line, what happened is, as soon as when you trying to convert from integer to the string or integer, what I can say, right? I'm trying to do this. Okay. So when we are trying to do this, right, automatically what happened is the value is get converted into integer and it is storing in this one. Now even you try to display the type of it, even you try to display the value of it, even it is integer and it is representing a class of integer. Now this is representing a class of integer because as we have converted that into integer, and this will be act as a right now integer variable. Okay, right, hopefully is it clear now? Guys, is it clear now? Next step of it, this one treasury input ABCD, I wanted to convert that into integer value. This is also right. Now I wanted to print this. I wanted to print this. Is it possible to convert it? This is an integer. Earlier it used to convert it, right? Most of the people will ask this question very frequently, very common question. Everybody, most of the people used to ask me, sir, I'll take a string as ABCD. Now I wanted to convert ABCD to 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, is it just a simple thing you can understand? And you see that error also very easy way to understand this error right now. What is that? Invalid literal for int with a base 10. It means what is a base 10 consist of? Only decimal numbers will consist of a base 10. Correct? Only base 10 will have only integer. It's only consists for a decimal numbers. But as it is a decimal number which is enclosed ABCD, no. Correct? So in that case, you never have a possibility to convert the given thing into a integer format. Please do remember this. Okay, just I wanted to look at these three cells, everybody. I'm just giving you 2 minutes time. Make sure that everybody please try to look at these 3 cells. Okay, so hopefully you understood this, correct? So this is not possible to convert it, but this will be the possible way to convert the integer. Similarly, let's make sure that we are trying to add some more cells. Okay, and at this point we were just trying to convert into a different formats. Okay, right? Let's say first I have a number. Okay, so let's try to print it, and this is the type which is basically a string. Okay, and then convert that into integer value. Right, so how do we do that? I can just use here as I underscore value. All of this is the variable names. Okay, you can just use any variable names as what you required or whatever you want. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, So let's say I underscore value, let's say type will be I underscore value. Okay. And similarly, if I wanted to convert that into a float, right, we have a function called float and expecting some value as an input for this. That's I'm passing the integer value for this. Okay, so I'm just passing an integer value. Now let's observe the output now. Let's observe the output. The first we have a string, correct? And that string is converted into integer with the help of int function. That's first one. You see that second line, we have seen the output for an int right now. Similarly, as we have used the float function here, right? As we have used the float function here, when we are using this float function, the converted output will be a float. Okay, the converted output will be what? A float. So that you see that the conversion has been taken place into 3 different formats. Okay. Similarly, you just trying to look at this option. I'm trying to say true. Okay. This true, in this obviously T is supposed to be capital case as it is a case sensitive programming language. Okay, so you wanted to convert that into a boolean. We have a bool function and input will be s. Right, so it just converts the given input format. We have used the bool function here. With this bool function we have converted that into a boolean format. Remember that whenever you use these two things like a keywords, make sure that true and false f, this both are supposed to be uppercase characters always. This and this should be uppercase characters always, right? Whenever you have these two identified uppercase, then only it will take it as a boolean, otherwise it won't take it as a boolean. Okay, max must and should. In this true, first T is supposed to be capital case. In F, a false, F supposed to be a capital case. Okay, right? If you're trying to do the same with a small case T, now let's understand whether it is able to do it. Correct? It is just converting automatically into uppercase, even though the given input is a lowercase. That's a string, right? And when I'm using the bool keyword, automatically it is converted into an uppercase. Okay, that a T supposed to be in uppercase here, right? Even though if it is a false, it will convert that into a false if you are just use this particular topic, right? Like this, we have a several things, right? We have just several things is included here, right? I just want you to observe these 3 cells, 9, So you have, I guess you have clear with this stuff, correct? So these are the couple of data type conversions, especially for Python programming. So you have, according to the requirement, we do this four conversions happened, like int, float, string, bool. Okay. Yeah, these are the four different type of functions that are available, and these functions will convert into a specific format based on the input. Now, we just need to understand the input functions in Python. We need to understand something called input functions. For example, we have just given an input within the program till now, correct? If it is like s is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, or some other value we have, all of them we have just given within the program. Okay, but I just wanted to do the same thing dynamically. And dynamically in the sense, it needs to read the value from the input perspective, or it needs to read the value from user. Okay, so in that case, we have a Python 3, especially Python 3 having input function, right? Input function is used to read the input or reads a value from the console screen, right? We have a Python 3. It means that any version of Python, any higher end version of Python like 3.2, 3.3 or 3.6, whatever you might look at, all of that having a function called input, right? This input function takes the I mean, or you can say in generally other way, you can say that it reads the value from the input screen. Okay, let's say this, enter a value, we can just read the value with the input. Okay, let's say something like input value, or let's say I, something like that. You just use input function to read it, and then print let's say I'm trying to give a value called 152. It just giving a value called output as 152, correct? What happened now? This input function is a reading of something value and that's printing it. Okay, otherwise something like this. The same program, we are writing a print statement here. Even without writing this print statement, I wanted to read a name. Let's say name is equals to how I'm writing the previous cell, just replacing this to new. Let's say enter your name. Okay, let's something like enter your name. Just what we have done is we have not using this statement. Rather, whatever we wanted to display here and just passing that input to the input function and just trying to print the value of it. Let's say your name is, just say that a variable called name. Let's say I'm giving my name, and so that just displaying the value called output of it. Correct? Now, the majority of people have a question here. How does this input type represents? What the input type represents? Is it represent int or float or string or a boolean? For that reason, I'm just copying the same cell again. Let's display the type also, right? The type is what type it is representing. To display the type, we are using a type function and displaying the name of it. I'm entering the name within the input box, right? I'm trying to give the output in terms of a string. It means what happened at this point you have to understand is even not only this, okay? Let me write the same program here. Enter a number value. Enter a number we are talking, correct? After we read a number, let's even your input trying to type it, right? The type is okay. Just make sure that try to understand this type here I. What is this type is representing? Let's say 155 I'm giving. It is again representing a what? String. You just concentrate here the highlighting part of on my screen. Even I'm trying to read a value which is the string, as I'm expecting a string here, right? I'm expecting here what? A string. But enter a number in the sense it is I'm expecting some value is in terms of a integer. But what happened in this two cases, 16th and 17th cell? What happened in these two cells is these two functions of input, these two functions of input reads any value in terms of a string only. It is going to read any value, either it might be an integer, either it is a string or something else, doesn't matter. Whatever the type you are expecting, doesn't matter. Everything will be reads in terms of a string, correct? Then if you wanted to do any other things, expectation after that, okay, input function will read any input in terms of a string format. For example, if you need the data is in another format, you just need to use a type conversion functions. We just need to use what? A type conversion functions. If you use a type conversion functions, we can able to convert the any format into integer. Let's first of all everybody observe this cells. I don't know whether you're practicing or not, but it is a I'm telling you one best thing I'm telling you. Even when you do practice, when this particular sessions are going, the hands-on experience will give you a better experience or better way of programming. Okay, so yeah, so that's one thing. Okay, that keeps that in mind. So trying to do some good practice. Okay, I'm just giving you 2 minutes to observe the cells. I don't know whether if you're practicing, that's fine. If you're not practicing, let's at least observe the cells. Okay, so yeah, so I hope you have got the clear idea about this, correct? Okay.